Hey guys, this is Grace and welcome to process video number 2 for my latest 10 handmade cards, 1 homemade kit, and we'll just dive into card number 6. So with this one, I wanted to play with the pattern papers. That's kind of, the pattern papers are kind of always the first base of my inspiration when it comes to these cards, because I wanted to use up the 6x6 cards that I almost always pull for my my kits. So this one's gonna have a lot of the pattern papers. What I did was I wanted to use up the tags, but I also wanted my tags to be longer. So I've seen this on videos before. I think I've seen it in Jennifer McGuire's videos or all the other popular card makers, where they will put a die and they will put it on the edge where the end will not cut. So that's what I did. I put the long paper and I just added kind of half of the die onto the plate so that it will just cut the top portion, or the half of that where you see the tags and the hole on it, and then it will leave the others uncut, and that's what I just trimmed. So I made my my tags longer by doing that technique. And you can always just check out other people's videos as far as like die cutting techniques for that. So I did choose a subtle orange paper to be the center because I wanted to heat emboss my sentiment on it, and I used again the script wishes sentiment on there, and then heat emboss that with white. I did stamp the birthday word on a very subtle blue pattern paper, and then I'm just going to cut that into a strip and then add that with some foam adhesive. Now I have stamped and pre-colored and pre-cut these birthday hats, and I'm going to add that to the cards. Now I also added some twine to the one of the tags there, and I thought I will add that to all of the holes of the tags for all 3 of them, but I just thought that it was a nice look to just have one of them with the twine. So let me know what you guys think. When you guys have this kind of design where you have multiple tags, do you put twine on all of them or you just do one? I guess it all depends on the design that we're going for, but in this particular one, should I have added twine on all 3 of them, or was that okay to just add? I think I'm going to add sequins to that, but I don't think I'm going to add it to the holes of the other 2 tags. So they're going to be left plain. So let me know in your design eye, would have I rather place something there in those holes, or was it okay to go with this kind of design? So leave that in the comment section below. And that's going to be card number 6. And here are some close-ups of it. So all of my coloring, I only do single colors. I don't ever do, the blending, because I've tried it and I'm not really good at it. So that's just how it's going to be. Now, card number 7, I again used the tag, but I also used a rectangle stitch die from Memory Box to create the opening on the centers of each of these tags. They were cut from pattern paper from the 6x6 pad, and now I'm going to create a shaker card with them. Now I just want to let you know that if you're going to do this technique, make sure that there's enough space all around your hole or your frame, because over here it was very skinny that I had to use some liquid adhesive onto the edges of it just so that I can adhere that to transparency, and then it will close all the way around the frame. And so, and there was some oozing of the liquid adhesive. So just to give you a heads up, if you're going to do this, make sure that the rectangle or the opening that you have is just enough space for some adhesive to go on there. And then I'm going to trim all of that transparency, excess transparency off, and then I am going to add my foam adhesive and then fill that up with some sequins. I just figured I needed to do a shaker card for this particular kit because I do have all those sequins, so it's just kind of calling me to make a sequins card. Now I did not put the transparency all the way up because I didn't want to have to fussy cut that kind of curved edge on the top of the tag, and also because I was thinking I was gonna, like, you know, thread some twine in there or do something. I did not want to cover that all the way. So, and then I have to cut the foam adhesive really skinny so that it will work for that. And then like I said, I'm going to cut that really skinny, and that's the beauty of this Scotch foam adhesive, is that you can cut them however, like the width that you need it for. And I want to make sure that I cover all of the edges of it so no sequins will come out, and so that's why I'm cutting them really small and doing like a very detailed enclosure of my my tag here. And then now I'm going to pull up the part of that adhesive that I don't need anymore, to reveal the adhesive part, I should say, of that and of the foam. And then I'm going to add some sequins to this. Now I wanted to be just colorful, so I wasn't really focused on like I needed more blues or more greens or whatever. I would grab some. As you can see, my little container, they're kind of sort of divided by color scheme, and so I would just grab like a little bit of pinch here and there just so that I can have that looking full. Now I am backing that up with some just extra pink cardstock that I have from my stash or from this particular kit, and then I trimmed it off so that I have my shaker part complete. Now I'm going to finish off the card, and I am starting off with adding some scallop borders to these strips of pattern paper. That is a scrap from my card number 1, and the scallop punch that I used is from Fiskars. I also cut a block of pink, very subtle pink pattern paper, and then that's what is going to go onto the center of this. Now you know, because my scallop strips were really skinny, I had to kind of eyeball it, and at first I added it, and the left one was just a bit too, like the space in between that one and the pink was just a little bit wider than the right one, so I had to pull it out and then adjust it. Now I decided initially I wanted this design to be kind of centered on this vertical card, but I decided to go on the left because I needed a space to be able to put my sentiment. So I moved that further to the left side of the card front, and so that I could put some kind of sentiment on the bottom right. With this particular one, I decided to add twine on all 3 of them. Again, I can't really explain some of the design choices that I make sometimes because I've been doing card making and scrapbooking for such a long time that sometimes I don't overthink my design decisions. So with this particular one, I thought, it looks good to have all 3 of them have twine in there. So not sure if that really works, but it is what it is. So now I have this block of, I think it's like 1 by 2 block of pattern papers in the 6x6 pad that I have, but none of them will fit. My sentiment was a little too big for that particular space, so I'm just using the back side, and I'm going to go with a white paper, and then I'm going to mat that with the gold gold specialty paper that I pulled out for this particular kit. My initial thought with that gold one was to like cut like die cut words from it and use that, but at the end it just really was for matting. I think it's because I have such colorful papers to work with already, and then I have like that bold wishes that I used a lot for this particular kit, that I never really took the time to do anything special with that gold paper. But that's okay, because the beauty of this homemade kit is that I can put the gold paper back in my stash and then reuse it when I want to. So with this one, I'm going to this particular card. I believe we're on number 9 now, and this one I have a very colorful background pattern paper, and then I did cut a scallop square from the gold paper, and that's going to be my matting for this square pink paper. Now I wanted to use the kind of corner scroll image in the stamp set, and so I decided to kind of use that to frame this square. Now I thought that this will be enough to fit my cupcake will nestle in perfectly on there, but of course it never works out the way I had envisioned it in my head. So the cupcake will have to go a little bit outside of the border that I just created, which is totally fine. So at first I wanted to make this a flat card, but the gold really doesn't stand out much from the background if I didn't bump it up with some foam adhesive, and so that's what I did here. Like I said, the cupcake was just a little bit bigger than the frame that I created, which is totally fine. Okay, so now I am going to add my sentiment. That square, or that, not square, but that rectangle that I'm using, it's actually a leftover from the shaker card that I just created prior to this card. You know, when I created my shaker card, I had to cut out a rectangle from each of the tags that I had made, and so this is the leftover from basically this is the positive rectangle that came out of the shaker pouchers or tag, and that's going to be my card. Oh, actually this is card number 8. So card number 9, I wanted to make I wanted to decorate a background, so that's what I'm going to start off. I did heat emboss the wishes with some white embossing powder and on white paper. Now I know you can't see it very well, but there is an embossed wishes on there, and the reason why I did that on white is because I knew that I was gonna color in the background, and so at the end of all of this coloring I wanted the sentiment to stand out, and so that's why I used the white on there. And so I'm using 3 different warmer tones of Distress ink pads, and they are Abandoned Coral, Fossilized Amber, and Ripe Persimmon. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. I'm doing 3, and I'm going to blend them on the, of course, where the borders are. I'm going to blend them all so they look seamless together. And I'm kind of wiping the wishes part, because when I run my blending tool over it, some of the colors kind of go on there, and I just want that to be stark white, and so that's why I'm kind of rubbing that off, and it's very easy to rub off the ink on there. And then because this is a distress ink, it reacts with water, and so I did a little bit of splashes of water onto the background, so it has that really kind of grungy, very artsy look to it. And so that's going to be my background here. Now, of course, I needed to play with pattern paper because that's my thing. I needed to use up the paper. So in my my head, I was thinking of doing all of the tags all in one side of the card. But really, you can't see all of them if I do them all on one, because the wishes is just too thick of a sentiment that it doesn't show all of it. So I am going to put 2 tags on the top right, and then one of the tag will be on the bottom left. So I'm sorry you're not seeing the bottom of this card in the screen, but of course I'm gonna change that up here in a little bit so you can see all of them in frame. So here are my tags, and like I said, I wanted to show them all, and so the way for me to do that in an A2 size type card is to do 2 on one side and then the third one on the other side. So 2 of them are vertical and the other one was horizontal. So since the twine was already on my table, it just seems kind of fitting for me to add this twine on all of the tags that I've created for this particular card set. So might as well use the same one. So I've been using the same one for all of the twine needs that I have for this particular kit. So because the color scheme that I use for the background are warm colors, I just thought that warm wishes was the perfect sentiment for this, and so I'm going to stamp the word warm on the back side of a pattern paper and then cut that into a block, and that's going to be adhered to the top of my wishes sentiment with some foam adhesive. And of course, I can't leave this card alone without adding some sequins to it, and so that's going to be my finishing touch. I am using Glue Dots ultra thin adhesive for adhering all of my cards to the card bases for this whole set. So with this particular sequin set or set that I'm using, I decided to use a very kind of more transparent white and then an orange. I thought that was, of course, keeping up with the color scheme that I've built with this card. And that's card number 9. So we're very close to the end of this, and close-ups are here, and then we go on to card number 10. So I saved what I think was the best for last. This was my favorite. I had so much fun creating this, and I love the results. So I am going back with my sunburst type what is it called? Stencil. There you go. And so that's what I'm bringing in here. Again, I'm going with a white background and then my stencil. So I wanted to do a rainbow effect, and I've seen a lot of people do this in videos, and so I just wanted to kind of see how I can do it with the products that I already have on hand. So just to name you all of the ink pads that I've used, I used Festive Berries, Mustard Seed, Ripe Persimmon, Crushed Olive, Mermaid Lagoon, Blueprint Sketch, and Dusty Concord. So I used just Roy G. Biv type of color scheme and picked ones that I thought would work well for a rainbow. So as you can see, again, with this particular stencil, because of that sun rays, there will be white gaps in between all those colors. And so for me to be able to make this, not have that white space in between all of those burst or lines, I am going to move my my stencil just a tad, maybe just 5 degrees, just to cover the existing color and then fill in that white spaces. And really, I love the result because it not only created it not only has all of the colors of the rainbow, but because of tilting it just a little bit, I created like 2-tone of each of the colors, which made me really happily surprised at the result. And yeah, really, this is my favorite out of all of them. And I love my sunburst stencil, and I'm glad I have it, and I hope that I will remember to use it more often. So here's the result. It's really pretty, and I'm just happy with how it turned out. So I'm gonna add that to a kind of orange card base that I pulled for this particular kit, and then I've pre-stamped and colored this cute lion with the balloon, and I'm going to add that to the center of the rainbow that I've created. And at first I wanted to, I was thinking, well, maybe I could just leave it alone and not have a sentiment on there. And so that's why I am going with the sequins now. I decided to dress it up a little bit with the sequins. Again, I have all the sequins of the rainbow in my stash, so why not use it up? So that's what I'm doing here. I am matching a couple of sequins with the matching color of the sunburst, or the rays that I was able to create. So pink or reddish toned sequence goes on the red, and then the yellow with the yellow, orange with the orange, green with the green, and so on and so forth. So like I said, at first I was like, you know what, it doesn't really need a sentiment because it's just so pretty as it is, but I will change my mind later. So I hope that you guys have been enjoying my video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, make sure that you leave it in the comment section below. I try to answer as fast as I can. If I don't answer right away, know that I will answer sometime. So I decided that it really does need a sentiment. I cannot not leave it without any, so I did stamp the celebrate and just put that on the side. And those are all my cards. Now just a little bit of a peek of what's left. All of my sequins are there in a container, my embossing powders, and then of course all my tools, which are the stencils, the dies, and the stamps. Those are all going to go back in my stash. And then here are the cardstocks and paper that's left. I have a few more of that gold that's going to go back in my stash, and then just a bunch of the cardstock, and then this is what's left over of the 6x6 pad, which makes me happy. Now I debated if I should just throw that away, but I think I can make just a couple more cards with that, so I'm going to keep that just a little bit. And here are just another peek at the cards that I've created. If you want to see more close-ups and pictures of the cards, I am going to create a blog post corresponding this, and the link will be in the description below. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys another day. Bye.